Now since this is going to be an asynchronous call, I need to have an event handler that when this call ends, should be able to receive the information back from the method. So let's declare an event handler for that. Now this event handler will take a parameter, because whenever you create that method, it needs to return data back. So this is how you're going to pass the data back to the event handler using the product args. And we will call it product loaded completed. And let's go and define our product args also. Now the product args is going to inherit from event args. Now what do I need here? If my method completes successfully, I want to send the list of the products back. So I need to have an IEnumerable that's going to hold my products. And if the method fails, then I should raise an exception and send it back to the arguments. Fine? So let's define that. We're going to have IEnumerable of product. Okay. Before we do this, let's build it so that we can get a reference. And coming here, I need to have a service reference to my Silverlight application. So add a service reference. And let's call this NW service. Let's using open door dot silverlight dot NW service. So this is going to give me the reference to the product. So I have an IEnumerable of product. Right? And we'll call it products. And then I have an exception. We'll call it error. And I need to define properties so that I can interact with it. So this is going to be of IEnumerable, and it's going to take a product, and we'll call it products. So I have set up these two properties. Now I need to create the constructors, so that when you create this product args event argument, you need to pass the value. So I have two constructors that I need to create. One which will take the IEnumerable on successful completion of the query, and we call it products. So we say underscore products is equal to products. And the second one will be for the exception. So we have the product args set up. We are using it in here, right? and then we are implementing that in the iProduct model. So let's implement this. It should be an interface, sorry. Not a class. So let's implement this. So I'm going to define some using statements here. And in here I want to say normal entities. I create a context. I'm going to pass in the URL from my web service here. And the URL that I'm going to need is this service. So what I have done is I've created this context, right, in my model. Now my model knows how to communicate with the web service. Now I need to start writing code to get the data. So let's do that. So I have a link. So I have a link query which basically says, look at the products table, and for the category that I am passing in, get me all the products, sort them by the product name, and return it as a data service class. Right? And then once that query is designed, I'm going to pass it into the begin execute, because I told you all Silverlight operations are asynchronous. Right? So I have to call a begin execute, and I have to give it a function that is going to take the results back. So here I'm creating a lambda expression, right, which takes the results, and if the product's completed event handler has been defined, then I'm going to create a new product args event handler, pass it my enumerable of results, which is going to be the products, and send it back to the event handler. Clear so far? So that defines my model. Model, as I said, is responsible for communicating with a data service. It is not a true representation of your UI. Now I go into the view and I will create a Silverlight controller. And we will call it product. And this we are going to use in our main page.xaml. So that's the main container. So let's put a namespace here. Product XAML namespace. So I'm going to set a reference to the view. And view. Okay, let's build this. And here we are going to say view colon product view. So now my Silverlight control is part of the main page. let's close this and start working with that. So in the essence of time, I have some UI that I have created. I'll just bring that in. And we'll talk about that. So what I have here is a grid with 2 columns and 3 rows, right? In the first row, I have a stack panel which has a combo box for my categories and a button to retrieve the data. It occupies 2 columns. In the second row, I have a list box which I'm going to populate with my products that I receive. And on the right hand side, I have a template to hold all my selected product items. Right? So when I can click on a product in the list box, it's going to bring the data into the right hand side. I can edit it and it's going to have a 2-way data bundle. And on the third row, I have a text block to report any error messages that may be thrown during the execution of the program. Right? And that also spans 2 columns. A simple UI. But if you can see, now the model is not representing my view, right? It's just bringing me data back. It's not a true representation of my UI. So we'll start working from here. So let's create a view model. Bring in some using statements. Now, to start with, I need to have certain properties, right? One, I need to have an observable collection that I'm going to populate for my list box, right? Then I also need to have a field to hold my selected product. I want to have a mechanism to tell the UI that right now there is an operation going on and have a busy indicator, right? And I need to have a field where the view model will tell the view that there is an error. So this is the information that I would like to pass to the view. Now, in order for my view model to pass information back to the view, I need to have some mechanism, some exchange of information. And the way that is going to be done is through the iNotify property change. So when anything is changed in the properties, they get updated in the UI. So let's define the properties that we want. We want to have an observable collection of type product, and we will call it products. Then I need to have a product, and we will call it selected product. Then I have a boolean, and we'll say initially it's going to be false, and I need a string for my error text. So first of all, then let's define these properties. The first one is going to be our observable collection of type product, and I'm going to call it products. The next one is for my product, and we'll say this is selected product.